you know, I've gotten a lot of personal attacks, which is ridiculous. If you don't like my pick, you don't like my pick. But I know a lot about sports, and I've been around it. I met so many players that you'll never do it. I mean, it'll never happen. I've met so many people. You guys in Louisiana can't count that high because you're not that educated yet. But that's okay. I just wanted you to know that about 100 or so years ago, when we had cavalries, in the army on the Western Front, all the generals and colonels were afraid to be demoted because they would send them to the swamplands of Louisiana. I guess that hasn't changed all that much when, your claim to fame is getting malaria by dangerous mosquitoes down there. So I guess that's affect your brains. I understand it. But if you really want to be serious and talk real sports, we're here for you. And we're here to teach you. And God knows you need it.
And there you have it, folks. Welcome to the Sports Show with Bob Spino, where the official week 1 of the NCAA football season has started. Ohio State and Minnesota, Bob. I said Minnesota was definitely improved. And they weren't improved enough to beat Ohio State, but I believe you have some opinions on the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I do. You were right. They're really improved. When you asked me, I just kept saying Ohio State, because they're elite. That's just like asking me if Alabama's going to win. Well, yeah, of course they are. But I did notice a couple things. Their defense gave up a lot of points. Granted, it was on the road. I don't like the Saturday game with UCLA and LSU. But I noticed that the defense was a little bit weaker than expected. And I also noticed this, and now I'm going to make a lot of friends in Ohio. I am telling you right now, Ohio State is not, unless fluky things happen and, Alabama can't play their games anymore for whatever reason, or maybe a few other really good teams too. You are not winning the national title. Your quarterback is not good enough, I'm telling you. Danny DeVito aside, because somebody called me, which is fine because the damn guy's from New Jersey, which I like. The damn guy's a genius, which I like. He's a superstar, which I like. And you guys are in the woods hunting for some animal that you don't know how he broke in your house last night. But anyway, he's just not good enough. He's just not. And you can say what you want. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe things will change. He'll improve. I get all that. But the truth is, at the rate you're going now and just what I've seen, and I'm good at looking at people once and knowing this kid is not as good as Fields was or the quarterbacks that came before Fields. So you're going to have a sweet year, and then it's going to sweetly end because you ain't winning the national title. And if you'd lost last night, that one would have sunk your boat because Bama ain't losing. And you can't lose any more with this playoff system than 2 a year. You lose 3 a year, you're cooked. And that would have been 1 already, so that would have put you in a dangerous spot. I love you, Ohio State and all that good stuff, but if this quarterback is what I think he's going to be, you're not winning the national title, I'm telling you.
But can they still win the Big Ten? Can they still make the playoffs?
Well, they can because Michigan hasn't been able to stand up to them lately. And, that better change or their coach is going to get fired. And he knows it. That better change fast. Because you got, like I told you, Rob, you got to beat the rivals. You got to. The schools don't tolerate that. Ohio State's an elite school, and so is Michigan. So you got to beat the rivals. And I'm not sure where the game is this year, if it's in Michigan or Ohio State. But if it's in Michigan, they can bite you because they don't like them. They don't even – you're not allowed to – if you're an Ohio State fan, you can't mention the word Michigan in the house. And the same thing with Michigan. They hate those guys.
It's bitter – I don't think people realize how bitter the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry really is. It's kind of nasty. I mean, I'm glad I'm not a fan of either team because I enjoy going to the games. I think you're gonna get some potential animosity if you start sporting that gear in the wrong place.
Oh, absolutely. You have a better chance of living if you put a Tom Brady jersey on the Meadowlands and sitting on the top deck. They ESPN did a 30 for 30 on that and how much they love each other. They do not. Even the players to this day, the ex-players they hate them.
Oh,
it
lingers. Absolutely. There's no love there, and not even close.
None.
And frankly, Michigan is due. They're
they
due.
Are. That's right.
You're not going to lose
forever. And I'm big on
due.
Rob, I'm big on due. I'm really big on
due. Due needs its own show, Bob.
Because
this is the thing. It's a real thing.
It does. But I'm telling you, Ohio State ain't going to do it unless there's always a chance things could change. They did get away last night with a hit that would have suspended their defensive back for this game, I believe, because he hit him. It was helmet to helmet. Was it targeting? That's questionable, but it was helmet to helmet. And that should have got him suspended. But they didn't give it to him. So, and I must admit, UCLA got away with one too. They had a hit that was kind of dangerous, where one of our best defensive backs would not have been able to play against LSU in the first half of the game. Fortunately, the rest didn't call it. But it was close. So please, UCLA, don't do that again. We don't need that. But I really don't think that Ohio State's gonna do it all. They're not gonna win it all. I just don't see it. I don't. This kid,
I mean, sorry, go ahead, Bob.
This kid has to get better, and I mean that could happen. You know, it's his first year quarterback, and so it could happen. The team could get stronger as the year goes on. But if it stays this way, once they got to play the good teams, the real good teams, no. And LSU, you're a pretty good team, but you ain't one of those real good. You're not Bama. Sorry. Doesn't matter what happens tomorrow night. You ain't. Okay? So eat your alligator and have a good time down there. Or wrestle your alligator, whatever you want to do with them. I don't care.
So, but yeah, here's another thing, Bob, going back to Ohio State, Michigan.
Right.
Asian jokes aside, is Harbaugh is a Michigan alum, right?
Yes.
Okay. So forget job on the line.
Oh, wait a minute. UCLA beat him in the Rose Bowl. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Oof. Had to get it in. Had to get it in. Got it. So he's a Michigan alum.
Yes.
Regardless of job on the line, getting that paycheck. Right. As a Michigan alum, it's got to be eating, just devouring him inside to lose every year to Ohio State.
Right.
And so you got to believe that they're going to, if Ohio State is finally vulnerable, they will, I mean, they're going to give it this could be the year. If it goes, as you say, and this Ohio State quarterback is not a star.
Well, that's right. It's like a time bomb. It's sooner or later it's ticking. It's going to go.
Ohio State, you're going to lose to Michigan eventually. It's going to happen.
Eventually.
Army lost to Navy like 15 years in a row.
Right.
And then Army got a nice 3-game win streak. They've won the most now. They've only dropped one. They've won 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6. Games me.
Right.
But for 15 years, Army didn't win. But eventually it ended. It stopped.
Right. And
it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. Is it coming this year? I mean, if that game's in Michigan and this kid doesn't suit up, you bet. It could happen. I mean, Michigan's no slouch. I mean, they're not. And, we're going to get a lot of love from Michigan, a lot of hate from Ohio, but I just know what I saw last night. I even sat next to a guy with his girlfriend. He looked like he just came out of college and he went to Ohio State when I was watching it. And I said, and I played totally like I didn't know. I was just like,
it's at Michigan, Bob, November 27th.
Oh, watch out. This could be the year. I mean, and I played it like, you guys are good, right? And he was like, yeah. I go, what's the deal? Because they were losing to Minnesota in the beginning. They were. I was, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And, and then they got a call. Or you know what really set them? Minnesota had the ball early third, and they had 2 running plays, and both times they had holding penalties. And before you know it, it's 3rd and 30. So I'm sitting there going, just hand off and punt. And that's what they did. And but that set up Ohio State. They had good field position, 1 pass, boom, touchdown. First pass, guy was wide open. They blew the coverage. And then Ohio State really never looked back after, But that was the turning point in the game. But if, you know what, you're not going to do that to Michigan. If you're, and you're not going to get those holding calls in Michigan either, unless some ref has to bet on the game. You're not getting it. That game's in Michigan. And, so that's not going to happen. That's just not.
We'll see, Bob. It is a 1-game sample.
Right.
Ohio State could look like a different animal next week.
Well, I said that. I go, a lot of things could change. He can get better, the whole deal. So I'm being fair to Ohio State. But if it stays the way it is right now, you're going to have a long season. You're not going to win the national title. Put it that way. And it could be
typically
you might not
Ohio
be Michigan.
State is I have them in the playoff again. To me, Ohio State is that good of a program where it's got to be until proven otherwise for me.
Right. Okay.
I got to see them fall before I believe they're going to fall at this point.
Right.
So, but Minnesota gave them a game. Minnesota is improved. Are they top tier? I don't think so. But
no,
we'll see what happens.
I'm
going to be curious when they play the marquee teams in the conference, how it goes.
Remember what I said, first game, home game. That was first game for Minnesota at home. It's always a little tougher to beat them. So they come out there to think they can beat you. Because a lot of these teams don't realize they're not all that great yet. So that's the ones you struggle with. And because sometimes like the good team would go, we got this. Yeah, no, you don't always got this. So, but I mean, I agree with you, Rob. Like they are elite. There's no doubt. From what I saw, and all I'm saying, from what I saw, this quarterback is not good enough to win the national title at this point. And you know what? I got to tell you, last year, when I watched Alabama in their first game that I actually watched them, Mac Jones was the quarterback. Am I right? And
Yep.
I looked at him once. I go, this is the best quarterback, including Tua, that they have had for a while. This guy's going to be a good pro. New England drafts him. And everybody's like, well, Cam's going to start. I go, no, he's not. Not only is he not going to start, he's looking for a team. This kid they're going to be really tough. And Miami's going to have a tough. Weren't good enough to overcome New England.
I've been concerned about Mac Jones from the moment that pick was made.
Yeah.
From the moment New England
we
picked
talked
him up,
about it, if you remember,
I got
right?
very concerned. This kid is a star.
Yeah.
He seems to be extremely coachable from what I'm hearing. And if you combine that with Belichick, coachable and star, forget it.
No, that's right. And Belichick's going to make a comeback because he's upset about last year. And the defense is always solid because of him. He's great. He's a great coach. When I saw him throw those, because Alabama last year, their defense wasn't exactly as great as it has been in the past. But the thing was,
they
just
offense.
Yeah. When you score 50 plus a game, you're not losing more times than not. And that's what they did. And this core, in the past, they always had the running back. And by the way, they had the running back last year to go with the quarterback. Harris is amazing. Pittsburgh, you took him from Buffalo. I'm upset about that, but you got a great pick. He's a great player, and he's going to be great for you. He's going to take pressure off Ben. Ben's going to take pressure off him. You have to take pressure off each other on the offense. But everybody's like, the running back takes pressure off the quarterback. No, it's the quarterback that takes pressure off the running back. I learned that when I was 10. Know why? First down handoff. Okay, you get 7 yards. Second down handoff, you get 3. You get the first down. Then you hand off again, thinking it's working. 1 yard loss. Then you hand off again, 2 yard gain. And who bails you out? The quarterback on third to get the first. And then when you get it again, all of a sudden they start running good again. I've been studying this for years, people. Like I said, this is a teaching show. And you guys just never were taught it. The quarterback takes pressure off of everybody. They call him the general for a reason. He's the brains of the outfit. Without him, the foot soldier doesn't know where the heck he's going. You got to have a scheme in play. Belichick, quarterback. That's where the schemes are. Belichick, Brady. Brady's so great he can do it by himself because he's exceptional. That's what it's about. And by the way, he's with a good coach down in Tampa Bay too. So he's no slouch either. But you know what? People are getting the wrong idea. They've always had the wrong idea on this. And for years, I always wanted the league to be a passing league. I thought it ran too much when I was a kid. It drove me crazy. I would sit there and go, pass the damn ball. UCLA would never pass with Pepper Rogers. I don't want to throw him under the bus. But you know what? When Dick Vermeil got there, I'm like, yeah. And by the way, when Vermeil got there, we beat the number 1 team in the country, Ohio State, in the Rose Bowl. They beat us early in the year in game 2. We kicked their tail in the championship game. They did not win the national title. We won the Rose Bowl. And then the next year, we took out Harbaugh, who was the starting quarterback with Michigan.
UCLA has had some good, very profound football success in its history. It didn't just come into the picture, 5 years ago. It's been around a long time.
No,
and my point was, to reiterate, is it's cyclical. You guys kind of ride and you hang out at the top for a while. Then you kind of have a little valley, but then you come back up, and maybe this is the time. Maybe Chip Kelly brings you back.
Well, a lot of it had to do with the administration. We had some administrators that really didn't care so much about sports. They wouldn't even go to the games half the time. But, that's kind of changing. We're getting a new athletic director. We just signed with Nike, and they bring in all the athletes in football and especially basketball. So, LSU, how's your basketball team doing? Oh, Shaq don't play there no more. Sorry, I forgot about that. Well, anyway, you didn't win that either with him. So, Yeah. And I love you, Dale Brown, because we had him on. And Shaq's coming on. We love him. We love him. But, you don't want to touch us in basketball. If you're ripping on our football team, are you guys even allowed to play in the NCAA basketball? Do they allow you in? I don't remember. Oh, wait, you did have Pete Maravich. Forgive me. But that wasn't the 1960s, was it? You didn't win there. He was great, no doubt. And I met him, actually, when I was a kid. Yeah, that's something that Danny Bob DeVito actually got to do, because I was at the All-Star game, and I sat with him. Yeah, when he was there, he was, I think he's the leading college player scorer of all time, I believe. He was for a long time. I think he still is. But the truth is, you guys never won when he was there. His dad was the coach, am I right? Yeah. Wow, I do know more. Rob, the more I talk about it, the more I realize I know more about LSU than these people think. But I got to say, I'm kind of giving it a little flack back because.
Well, if we're talking basketball, it looks like they made the Final Four in 2006.
Yeah, but did they win?
But before that, they had not been since 1986. So they had, what is that, a 20-year gap getting to the Final Four, and now a 15-year gap. So 2 Final Fours in 35 years. Let's
be real. They stink for the most part. Okay, they got to the Final Four. Did they win? No, of course they did. And you know who beat them?
Who beat them, Bob?
Would you say 2006?
2006. It was LSU, Florida, George Mason, and UCLA.
Yeah, I think it might have been UCLA that took them out. Am I right?
Okay. Let's find out, Bob. We're going to go to the old trustworthy search engine to confirm this. 2006 Final Four.
Or did Florida take them out? I think we did.
UCLA shuts down Big Baby. Remember him? Glenn, see, they get the guy. They get a guy. They just don't win it all.
I got to tell you, Rob, I was playing with you.
They do get a guy.
I was playing with you and the crowd because I was at the game. We beat them. I was at the Final Four. I was sitting with Troy Aikman and Jabbar. I was there. I was there, Rob. Of course we beat him. Big Baby Davis helped the Celtics win the title, though. I loved him. Thank you, baby, for that.
He was good.
Yes, I'm a Celtic fan, so I loved him.
So there you have it. Basically, when after football season, the LSU crowd will get a little quieter,
right?
But it's football season though. So what else? What else did you see? Our G5 pick actually worked out, although it seemed like in the first half Boise State was going to tear up UCF. I would like to make a correction for the record, folks. Right. I mentioned that UCF's coach Josh Heupel, I didn't consider him elite. Well, apparently UCF also didn't consider him elite. Right. They agree because he's gone, and now they have a new coach. I think I don't want to butcher his name. Gus Malzahn, is that how you pronounce it?
Okay.
Yeah. So Malzahn. I apologize. So Gus Malzahn is now the UCF coach. He was the Auburn coach, so that was a good hire for them, I think. Right. And he's a good coach. Good move, UCF, staying alive. You came out on top, and you're going to now. Here's another thing. We're opening a can of worms. It's looking like it's a locked deal, Bob. The Big 12 is going to expand and take Houston, Cincinnati, BYU, and UCF. Given that in mind, is the Big 12 going to still be a power conference with this move?
Well, they're trying to make every conference a power conference. They're all sucking everybody in. And whatever, and the smaller conferences are going to get swallowed up. So, yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's what they want. So that seems to be the move. I mean, what do you think, Rob?
Well, I want to ask you one more question before I share my thoughts.
Yeah.
And that is, do you believe this move about
it's all about money,
getting these 4 teams?
Yeah.
And these aren't pushover programs. I mean, BYU has a history.
Right.
UCF was undefeated that year. I think their national championship claim was Bush League, honestly. But it seems to have been kind of lost in the dustbin of history, thankfully.
Right.
Houston was in the Final Four in basketball. They got Dana Holgerson coaching there. They've had some success. They're stout. They're a big university. Cincinnati's been great in football for a long time now.
Right.
They just haven't had that P5 nod since they were in the Big East. So I'm going to go on a limb and say the Big 12 will hold as a P5 team conference. I think they will be considered a power conference. But what I'm most interested in, Bob, How is this going to impact this alliance that is forming, this Pac-12, Big Ten, ACC thing? Is that going to happen now, or I feel like this Big 12 move is going to shake things up even more?
It seemed like it was going to happen at first, and then the Pac-12 kind of backed down a little bit. But something like that, yeah, you know what? It could, because, if the Pac-12 and the ACC and they see this happening with the Big 12, they're going to be like, it's almost like you're fighting in a war. Wait a minute, the reinforcements came. We need more. So we better make our side, just as big. Yeah, I can see it. I think it's all going that way. It's all the money. Everything's becoming one big happy conference, really.
Well, they made a formal announcement that the Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12 on the 24th of August formally announced an alliance. The agreement between the three conferences being described as a collaborative approach surrounding the future evolution of college athletics and scheduling. So a generic statement, basically something's going to happen between the three conferences. And then just within a day, it says Big Ten considered expansion before the alliance. So these moves were already in motion, in place before we really got wind of it. So there's going to be something. I don't know what this is going to look like. We can only speculate, but let's assume there's 41 teams in this thing across the different conferences, 41 institutions. Bob, how are you going to make this work? What does this mega alliance thing look like?
There's going to be a lot of traveling going on it back and forth. I can tell you that. I don't know what their goal. I mean, it's all to make money and to get more, and now players are getting paid. So I still think because of that, the great players are going to go to the big schools because they got more money to give them, but they're getting endorsements too. So it just depends where you want to go. Some players don't want to go to big schools that are really good players. So it's just a question of what they want to do. I mean, it's so weird because we all knew our conferences growing up, and now everything is just jumbled into one, which is actually what basketball wanted to do the whole time. They wanted to have every single team make the NCAA tournament, even if you stunk. And they said, we'll only take one extra week out of the calendar, which I'm like, okay. But, they're just.
Yeah, and then you basically, what's the point of the regular season? Don't even have one. Just play a tournament.
And that's my problem. I do not like that. I am a big regular season person because one sets up the other. If you're not good enough in the regular season, get out of here with all that. Well, you're not as good as us because we beat you. No, you shouldn't have been in it to try to have a chance to beat the better team in the first place because all year you stunk. One upset can happen at any time, kind of like tomorrow night. It could happen. UCLA could win. It could. Would it be a major, major upset? No.
No, it would not.
No. Would it be an upset? Yes, but not major.
But not a landmark upset at all.
No. You're no. They wouldn't, they wouldn't be talking about that in 100 years as something you'll never forget.
It's not Denville High School, rolling out there against the Tigers. It's the UCLA Bruins.
It's the UCLA Bruins,
who are only 3-point underdogs.
Right. But I mean, I don't, I love regular season. I do. And it's really important that it stays intact because there's just a lot of teams that should not be making. The NBA wants to keep expanding, making the playoffs. They should cut them. Half these teams stink. Why would you want to watch them any longer than you had to? I know you're a fan, but who cares? They stink. And move on to the next year when you can try to improve. That you deserve it. I'm big on deserving it, not just walking in and having it handed to them. And most of the time, the teams don't upset. They don't upset the big teams anyway in any playoff, even in the NCAA tournament. You think about this right now. The basketball tournament has it their way because they're so big on Cinderella. When's the last time Cinderella won it all? Duke's not Cinderella. UCLA's not Cinderella. Kentucky's not Cinderella. So they get all these fans sucked in stupidly. Oh, we're going to be playing for one more week. And then you get an upset once in a while, and that makes it even better for the NCAA because they know they're not going to win. And then at the end, it's still the elites.
The big Final Four. Once in a while, like a George Mason or something.
You talk about a system. Al Capone couldn't have set this kind of a system up. This thing is perfectly working. I mean,
there's nothing better than that. You get out of first weekend, you're on cloud nine. You're a college basketball fan if your team survives that first weekend. The world is your oyster as a fan. It's just nothing better. It's a great feeling.
And actually, a lot of other fans get ticked off if there is a Cinderella upset, because there's teams that you don't want to see win, and all of a sudden the team that stinks will play the team that you want to see out, and they'll get beat the next week. Yeah.
Cinderella doesn't lend itself to streaks. I mean,
no.
Okay, knocking off a team or two, you still got to line up again. You got to win 6 in a row. 7 if you're in the first 4. UCLA almost pulled it off.
With all due respect to Cinderella and the story with Disney, forgive me, Rob, I'm going to say it. 12 o'clock does come, bitch.
Exactly.
Everything turns into a pumpkin at 12.
The clock will strike midnight eventually, Cinderella. It's coming.
That's right.
And no one's gonna care about your glass shoe when you're leaving it, hanging down the bottom of the stairs.
That's right. Glass shoes break if you drop them.
Glass shoes gone. You've left the arena. You've walked away. It's over.
Yeah, right. But the NCAA loves it because they're like, we're getting the best of both worlds. We're getting the kids that think they're going to win, fans, and the actual fans that know they're going to win.
And look, frankly, I mean, eyeballs. The big fan bases, the big teams, the big fan bases get the eyeballs. Syracuse, West Virginia. Syracuse they weren't like dead on the bubble, but they almost didn't get in. It was the highest rating game of the season of the first weekend. I apologize.
Right.
Big fan bases get eyeballs on games. You want to know why Syracuse is always on TV? And we're in the mix. We got a big fan base. We actually have a national fan base. We're very popular. The Q's in the house, baby. You can't dismiss us. Yeah, we've sucked at football for a while, but we're still at the table. We're still there. We renovated the dome, and we'll get better.